Now, you've offered to play to us a piece on the pianoforte, which you claim is the new national anthem.
Yes.
But you have refused to play the existing national anthem.
Yes.
Is there any particular reason for that?
No.
Would you like to enlarge on that?
Not especially.
Well, why aren't you playing the existing national anthem?
If you go to any book, and there's a lot of them, or if you go to the internet, which is to some degree simpler, and you type in manuscript, what comes up is a download which starts changing pages on your machine. That would be like if you were driving a new demonstration model car, putting your foot on the clutch and getting, for instance, instead of movement, getting a map of Gibraltar when you're in Hungary. What we need is a system which produces the faith that people have in politics and monarchy. You do not produce it by explaining that the song with an F was the Old English spelling created when it was first performed under a King George. And let's be facing it, since 1714 there were at least 3 King Georges who reigned until 1820, and the net doesn't tell you easily which one the piece was founded under. Now, there are reasons for that. Now, the main reason which I'm not playing it is because I don't understand the old national anthem. I mean, you have to be idiots to ask me to sing it or to play it.
Not at all. We are just asking if you will give us the beauty of your playing on the existing national anthem.
Well, the beauty of my playing, with respect, would be ruined in some by playing the old national anthem. And the reason for that is founded in part in Henry Purcell.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't understand. I mean, what's Henry Purcell got to do with the new national anthem? Did he write it?
He used bits from it, and he, an English composer, was, they claim, if you look at the net, to have composed Baroque-style music. Now, they come up with all these florid names, don't they? And they start preaching about other composers with Purcell so that you rate them in terms of people like Elgar or the Chapel Royal and all this. But what they don't easily tell you is what the nature of the study of music means to anybody who is going to study for a lifetime.
Yes. And become a genius.
At any age. What they don't tell you is he didn't even live to the age of 36. Would you want to really credit a composition by somebody who only lived to the age of less than 36?
Yes. Well, Purcell was born, if I'm not mistaken, before they executed Oliver Cromwell, which was in 1659. Henry Purcell was born.
And he died in, I think, 1695.
I mean, what kind of credition is that for the national anthem?
And then they claim it's all experienced and the same anthem as other certain places in the world, for instance, Liechtenstein. I mean, who is pulling whose leg?
Oh, well, that's okay if you do not want to play the existing national anthem.
It's an insult. Well, you only have to study the harmony which they put on, for instance, the net, and they claim that it is to be sung, and they show you the language, God save our George, our King, is actually not used. What they claim is the word great, God save our great King. But what they don't tell you necessarily is which George, and which George was having problems with the foreign policies of other countries. What they don't tell you is the kind of music which was being invoked in Britain following the dynasties of Queen Elizabeth, which has more founding in music with the Fitzwilliam Virginal Suite and things like that. I mean, there's virtually no history to the national anthem we have at the moment.
Oh, that's okay if you do not want to play the existing national anthem. So you're offering the new national anthem.
And what are you claiming is so good about that?
To put it very politely.
Well, the new national anthem achieves one thing. Firstly, it does not sound to humiliate the credibility of intelligence.
On the part of the listener.
In other words,
you don't get keynotes straight away.
And what are you claiming is so good about that?
We get something which sounds very Chinese. In other words...
Now, that, to my mind, is what is in a real world.
And what are you claiming is so good about that? In other words...
Because China itself has embodied a lot of experience in terms of invention, the power of invention. I mean, you're driving, for instance, motor cars with things like suspension.
No. Excuse me. I'm not driving anything at the moment.
Do you really realise where it came from? Where some of these principles came from? No, I don't think you do. And you expect people to sing the national anthem who aren't musicians.
So excuse me. What we get to, if you study a work of Puccini, and I will sing for you later.
And I will sing for you later the work of Puccini.
You may be familiar with Puccini.
No.
So, Le Chiran, Le Stella.
Which is, and the stars were shining. And if you study that, you will get a melody and a harmony which is constantly enthralling. You could not guess the harmony that goes with it. But if you look at the net and you type in manuscript for the old national anthem, it does not take a genius to realise that many of the notes shown in the F clef, which is the bass line, are always very often the same. There is very little change. My purpose in writing the new national anthem was merely to highlight the fact that you cannot go on politically, intelligently, insulting the intelligence of an electorate.
Yes. Even though they do not sing or
necessarily understand music to be able to sing to any degree of proficiency, it is not necessarily a good thing to give them something simple to sing and expect them to be achieving great enthusiasm by it.
Well, what would you suggest that we, listening to in the new national anthem, which you've written, well, if you listen to the new national anthem, and you can clearly hear the Chinese elements of it.
You have the basis of an international feeling which is in congruity with the European concept of free trade. Unfortunately, there are those in politics and in corporations in Britain who do not actually believe in free trade. They limit the amount you can sell, they put restrictions on what you do, and they would also, if they could, they would put restrictions on the kind of music which is played in public. Now, those kind of things, not even the Führer Adolf Hitler did, because if you studied the music that was written by Germans, you will hear the music of Wagner.
But what do you get of British music?
You get a piece of music which has been brought in basically by a king who could hardly speak a word of English in the name of King George I. And you expect British people to enjoy it and sing it.
So in your new national anthem, you have created something which is in the style of Puccini, have you?
What I have written is something which is in my style, which is in keeping with the international audiences which have heard me and which understand how an international keyboard player works. But when the old national anthem was composed, the piano wasn't even invented. Have you ever thought of that?
Oh, well, you don't know about that. You sure the piano wasn't invented? They played on the piano, didn't they?
If you look at some of the first performances of the old national anthem, they were in 1745, and you look at the history of the upright piano, you will notice that the upright piano was not invented till after the 1790s, our friend, 50 years later. So you have to question what kind of grand piano they were playing in 1745 if they couldn't build an upright. Do you see the point? There has to come an end to expecting to drive and sing as if you are driving a Model T Ford or a de Dion Bouton, as was driven by Giacomo Puccini when he had a very serious accident.
But you will not expect people of any credible change in their institutions to be able to give one credible piece of music, except those that have had experience
Not especially
with the kind of audiences and the kind of music which is known internationally.
Not especially. All I'm saying is that I have a feel for international music, and the British national anthem is rather confined to the music of the virginal. There is no other exception in the world when you listen to it that a musically country so advanced, such as take for instance Italy, who invented the piano, and you listen to the Italian national anthem, it's vastly superior to the British one. There is no reason to keep singing the British national anthem. Now, if people want to put earmuffs on and not listen to the new national anthem which I've written, and if people want to say, we'll give you a free meal and we're not going to pay you for your performance, and they want to see me effectively starve if I don't play for the meal, then that is okay by me, as long as you realise that your country will have to pay for the funeral.
All things are that bad, are they?
If I said to you, as an interviewer, you are not going to be paid by the BBC, the BBC does not want to know you, you will end up selling insurance or something. What would you say to that?
Well, I don't suppose that I would really have any choice, would I?
Well, why don't you do something useful with your life?
Instead of trying to ask people stupid questions without being able to give one decent performance.
Why don't you stand up and start singing something worthwhile? Then we can all have a laugh at that, can't we?
Fernando, thank you. Thank you. That way.